My marriage ended because of one text I sent 12 years ago. I still remember the moment like it happened yesterday. It was a Tuesday, the kind of Tuesday that makes you question why you even get out of bed. And there I was, scrolling through old phone backups for fun, because apparently I have a bizarre hobby of torturing myself with my past mistakes. That's when I stumbled upon it. One text. One text I sent 12 years ago. It was utterly innocuous, or so I thought at the time. You up? It read, just 3 words, simple, harmless, like a digital whisper of youthful curiosity, except that apparently my wife, Lisa, didn't see it that way. Lisa had this uncanny ability to find drama in the most mundane things. If someone sneezed near her without saying bless you, she could turn it into a week-long emotional saga. But I loved her for it. Mostly. She'd laugh at my terrible cooking, roll her eyes at my dad jokes, and somehow we had survived 12 years of marriage. And then I sent that text. I didn't even remember it. I was young, dumb, and sleep deprived, and that combination is basically a cocktail for catastrophic decisions. I had no clue that one tiny blip in the vast universe of my texting history would resurface and unravel everything. The first time Lisa brought it up, I laughed. Wait, that's it? I said, sipping my coffee, trying to see if she was joking. Nope, dead serious. That text, she said, her eyes narrowing like I'd just confessed to stealing the moon. It changed everything. I can't forget it. And that was when the walls started to close in. I tried explaining, rationally, logically. Oh, sweet summer child, thinking logic would save me. But apparently there's a point in every relationship where logic becomes completely irrelevant. The days that followed were surreal. She didn't yell. Lisa isn't the screaming type, but her silence was the kind that suffocates. I'd try to talk, and she'd just stare at me with a combination of pity and venom, like I was a very unfortunate houseplant that had somehow learned to talk. I asked her what exactly about the text bothered her, and she said, it wasn't the text itself, it was what it represented. You were messaging someone else, probably. I blinked at her. Someone else? I hadn't even been in a flirtatious mood that week. Heck, I was still wearing socks with sandals because my brain had given up. I tried to convince myself it was temporary, that she'd calm down, but each day felt like walking through a minefield blindfolded. Every glance she gave, every sigh, felt like I was being dissected emotionally. And then came the bombshell. She wanted to see the text thread in full, right there on my phone. My stomach did a backflip worthy of Olympic gold. I handed over my phone like a man signing his own confession at the gallows, praying that 12 years of completely innocent, slightly embarrassing messages wouldn't somehow be twisted into marital poison. It wasn't innocent. At least, not to her. Lisa scrolled, tapping her finger across the screen, her face a combination of disbelief and theatrical outrage. Why did you say this to her? She asked, pointing at a message I sent my college friend Jenny about a cat meme. A cat meme, one that involved a tiny hat and a caption about existential dread. Somehow, in Lisa's mind, this cat meme conversation had been the starting point of a secret affair I'd apparently orchestrated. I tried to explain, laughing nervously. It's just a meme. Look, see, there's no... But she cut me off with a raised eyebrow so sharp I thought it could cut steel. This is when it got wild. She started digging. Not normal digging where you just ask questions. No, she went full-on CSI mode, pulling up old social media posts, emails, even text drafts I hadn't sent. Apparently, in 12 years, I had crafted multiple unsent texts. Innocent notes, grocery reminders, apologies for being late, but Lisa turned them into evidence of a hidden life. At one point, she gasped at a draft message I wrote to my brother about a fantasy football bet. "This is so manipulative," she shrieked. I blinked. I was literally just asking him to trade a linebacker. Things escalated fast. Friends started noticing. Coworkers noticed. Even the barista at our local coffee shop noticed the tension radiating off me like a cheap cologne. And somehow the entire story became this absurd, high stakes mystery where I was the villain and that three-word text was a nuclear bomb. I tried to make jokes, my go to survival tactic, but she had developed this radar for sarcasm. Every time I cracked one, she'd just glare, like a cartoon villain with X ray vision for humor. Then came the moment that almost broke me, the evidence phase. Lisa decided we needed a truth session where she would interrogate me about all the texts from that year. I ended up reenacting conversations from 2009, like I was auditioning for a one-man play titled The Texting Confessions. I don't think I've ever been more stressed in my life, which is saying a lot because I once accidentally sent my mom a meme calling her a sleepy burrito, but nothing I said mattered. Everything became proof. Everything. The final straw came during dinner one night. I made spaghetti, overcooked, of course, because my nerves made me forget that timing matters, and she just stared at the plate. "You burned the noodles," she said flatly, but it was more than that. Her voice carried the same judgmental weight as a Supreme Court justice deciding the fate of the universe. That's when I realized it wasn't really about the text anymore. It was about control, obsession, and 12 years of unresolved weirdness we had never talked about. And me, apparently, was about to be made the protagonist in her epic historical reenactment of my sins. Fast forward 2 weeks, and the text had basically become the ghost haunting every corner of our marriage. We argued in the car, we argued in the kitchen, we even argued silently while watching Netflix, which is probably the most terrifying form of argument. Silent war, except everyone knows someone is plotting your downfall with the precision of a chess grandmaster. One morning, she left a sticky note on my laptop. "It's over. Don't try to explain." I stared at it, numb, my brain spinning like a blender on overdrive. 12 years over a single text. I tried to reason. I pleaded. I begged. I even tried humor, making a grandiose speech about the absurdity of life, love, and cat memes. But it fell flat. Lisa had transformed into a fortress of cold, calculated resolve, and I was armed with nothing but my bewilderment and a lingering sense that maybe, just maybe, I was cursed. I packed a bag, walked out, and realized as I closed the door that part of me was laughing. Not the hysterical, crying, laughing kind, but the kind that says, well, at least this is a story you'll never forget. Months later, I learned something weird. That text became a meme in our friend group. Not on purpose, it just sort of happened. People would jokingly say, "Remember the text that ended your marriage?" And every time I laughed. Laughing is all I could do. Life, after all, has a way of turning your biggest catastrophes into absurd comedy if you survive long enough. But there's a lesson buried in this madness. Never underestimate the power of a single, stupid, completely harmless text. It might just be the butterfly flap that collapses your entire hurricane of life. Now I'm dating again, cautiously. Every relationship I enter comes with a mental checklist. No buried memes, no mysterious drafts, and definitely no three-word texts that could someday destroy my life 12 years down the line. And yet, deep down, I can't help but think about Lisa, about that text, and about how hilariously tragic it all was. Life's messy, absurd, and sometimes unforgiving. But it's also strangely entertaining, especially when you're the protagonist in a 12-year-long sitcom you never auditioned for.